Yo, what's going on guys, it's Bertrude, welcome back to the channel. Today on this video we're using the Crystallian Sorcery Specialist. This is a really cool build, it's quite powerful and we've got some really good invasions to watch. So this build is a level 60 build, we're going with 35 vigour and the main stat on this one is intelligence being at 38. In our flask we're using the intelligence knot to give our intelligence a boost by 10, which allows us to use all of our spells, and then we're using the magic shroud and cracked here to boost our magic attacks. We've got two main weapons on the build, the first one being the Onyx Lord's Greatsword. This is a really good curved sword and it's got quite a strong Ash of War. Then, as a second main weapon option, we've got the Carrion Knight's Greatsword. Obviously this one's got that Carrion Grandeur Ash of War. This is a really cool one, it can be quite easy for our opponents to dodge, but if you land it, it does a lot of damage. Then finally for our weapons, in our second weapon slot we'll be using the Glintstone Chris Dagger. And then finally for our spells on the build, we're using all of the Crystallian Sorcery spells. We need to use a flask to get our 10 extra intelligence, and then we have access to all three of them. And there's not much more else to say about the build guys, we'll get into the invasion shortly, but before we do, can I just ask, if you like the content and you're not subscribed, maybe consider subscribing. We're getting ever closer to the 1000 subscriber mark. Anyway guys, it's time for you lot to get your feet up, relax and enjoy the video. We just got the first look at the Crystal Torrent spell there on the build. As you can probably tell, it's a little bit underwhelming for how much of a charge up you have to do to actually cast the spell. You expect it to be a lot more impactful, but it really doesn't do much damage at all. But it's a Crystallian Sorcery spell, so it's included on the build, and it's always fun trying to use a different spell such as that. And there we go, that's a lot more like it in terms of damage. The Crystal Release, it's absolutely deadly and players constantly underestimate it. If you've got someone who's aggressive, use the Crystal Release. It's got some insane hyper armor, and if they get caught in that spell, it's going to be a true vigor check. And we just got a good look at the other main spell on the build, the Shattering Crystal. You could see how much damage it did to that blue. You've got to think of that one as a close range shotgun. If you catch someone in that at close range, it's going to do mega damage, but they've got to be close range. If they're anything further than a few feet away from you, it's just not going to do any damage. It can be a little bit inconsistent at times, but it's worth using because when you do hit it, and it does work properly, like I say, big damage. I actually didn't realise another blue had spawned in this invasion. You can see the horse there desperately trying to get some backup. But the blue mate is not there. You've got no help. No one's coming to save you. There was a lot of running involved in this invasion. I can promise you that I've edited it down quite a lot, but I was actually chasing these two for a good few minutes. Way too long to be chasing a pair like this for how short the actual fight ends up being. Something to note about the Onyx Lord's Greatsword, you can see the summon drops down to the bottom level, but the Ash of War still connects with him and does some good damage, and we're able to get the stylish kill off the top rope. We just had another attempt there with the Crystal Torrent spell. As I mentioned earlier, for how much of a big wind up that spell has, it's so underwhelming. Like, you expect some kind of big laser beam, but it's just like this little tickle that comes out. Honestly, that spell needs a buff. It could be so much better. And I'm just baffled by the wind up. Like, you spend about half an hour winding it up for this little pathetic little blue crystal tickle spell. As you can see, I'm not the biggest fan of the Crystal Torrent, but it's on the build, it's a Crystalline sorcery spell, so we keep it. As is usually the case throughout this video, every time I get disappointed with the Crystal Torrent spell, the Crystal Release, the big Crystal Downpour, it makes me feel happy again. The Crystal Release has got my back when the Crystal Torrent lets me down. And a really nice kill on the horse there with the Glintstone Crisp Dagger. It's such a good little side weapon to have in the second weapon slot. It can be good to switch to when someone's at low health to get that last little swipe of them and kill them and, you know, just finish them off. But the Ash of War in it is also excellent, and it's a good long range harassment tool on the build. I'm not sure if this player did this on purpose, but the clothes he's wearing and his hair, just the general colour of his build, he just seems to blend into the grass here. Like, I only noticed this afterwards, but you really can barely see him. It's like the ultimate camouflage build. If he did this on purpose, you know, it doesn't really matter because I can lock onto him, but I think it's pretty cool either way. This guy did get a little bit distracted trying to parry me, so I kind of took advantage of that, as you can see. And again, we get the nice kill with the Glintstone Crisp Dagger. And also another note about the Crystal Release spell. Look at the stagger on that host. I actually hadn't thought about this until I watched this clip back and I saw just how much that horse was getting staggered. That's obviously an improvement that has come with the spell in the latest patch, but wow, yeah, it's made this spell even better. This invasion here in the capital outskirts actually turned out to be quite a good invasion. Typically, I really don't like invading in this spot because I don't like getting that cheap kill on the horse or summons while they're fighting the tree sentinel. It's quite a hard fight and it just feels cheap when you spawn in and you get a backstab, or it just feels like a cheap kill. But what actually happened on this occasion is that one of the summons actually runs back and deals with the tree sentinel on his own, which leaves me, the host, and the other one of his summons to have a really good 2-on-1 fight. You've probably noticed throughout all of the fights in this video that I'm using the magic pots on this build. It's something I always include on my magic builds. I don't know what it is about the magic pots, but throughout levels 30 to 60 they are really strong. Now all pots are strong, especially at lower level, but there's just something about the magic pots. If you've got any kind of intelligence investment, I can't recommend them enough. They always do some really good damage and they're a really good tool to have on your build. Check out this backup I got from the Bat Boys here. I weren't expecting that, but about 5 bats swooped in and gave me a really good, well needed hand in this fight. This has been a really hard fought invasion up to now. We managed to kill the blue earlier and we just took out the summon. Now we can focus on the host. But he started to panic and he set off sprinting back to the Grace. He's obviously trying to get his mate back in to give him a hand, but he's running, I'm running, and I didn't expect this fall to kill me, but after a hard fought invasion, I'll accept my death for the victory. And this is the last invasion of the video, guys. I hope you've had a good time watching. The playstyle with this one is quite unique, using these Crystallian sorceries. The Crystal Torrent is a bit disappointing, as I've mentioned a couple of times. That could definitely do with a buff, but the Crystal Release and the Shattering Crystal spells are both excellent. If you've never tried using them, I would highly recommend giving this build, or at least these spells, a go. They're really fun, do a lot of damage, and like I say, you won't go far wrong using these types of spells on a build. Please don't forget to subscribe, guys, if you like the content. It's going to be a big help for the channel, and we are getting close to the 1000 sub mark, so every sub really does help, and I appreciate every single one massively. Anyway guys, that's enough from me, so you lot take it easy, look after yourselves, look after each other, and I'll see you next time.